Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdina sirata mustaqim. Sirata ladina an'amta alayhim. Ghayril maghdubi alayhim. Waladdallin. Ameen. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. All praise is due to Allah, the God and evolver, the cherisher and sustainer of all the systems of knowledge. The merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, the sole judge on the day of religion. We worship you only, and we turn to you only, begging assistance. Guide us on the straight way, the way of those on whom you bestow blessing, not those who incur wrath, nor those who go astray. Amen.
Ameen. Thank you, Imam Salim. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, I openly bear witness that none is worthy of worship besides Allah, and that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his servant and prophet and a mercy to all mankind. So welcome back to Study Al-Islam this week. I'm your sister and friend, Fitrah Muhammad. I'm so happy to be with you this week. Although, again, I want to give special thanks to Masha for stepping in last week and making sure that Study Al-Islam continued in its programming. I want to give a special shout out to all the brothers in our, happy Father's Day. I know what some of you are saying, that every day is Father's Day, but today we are going to acknowledge it as a special day to do something very specific for them and for to bring happiness and a stronger bond between us, between our brothers, between our fathers, between our men, our grandfathers, our uncles, or whomever you are related to. Take time to show a special appreciation for them. So Study Al-Islam, again, is being presented to you in a 4-part series. Today is the 3rd Sunday, and the series is on health and wellness. Our guest speaker is Dr. Michael McGee, and his topic is health disparities and the COVID pandemic, its impact on firearm violence in our communities, as well as solutions and preventions. Please take time to read his bio in Study Al-Islam newsletter and invite him to your community to speak. You received the newsletter on Saturday. If you did not receive it, then go to studyalislam.com and become a subscriber. Welcome, Dr. McGee. We are ready for you.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Thank
you for the opportunity to be here. I do want to give shouts out to my father-in-law, Dr. McGee Ramadan. He's got me involved with, at least this is my 3rd series that I've been involved with your community, and I thank you for the opportunity. Just also brief little background on myself. I'm from the deep south of Chicago, which is Gary, Indiana. I heard a lot of people in there from different areas. I also want to give a shout out to Sister Bahija, who I sort of followed. She went from New York to Atlanta. I did the same thing with my training, and also condolences on your dad who passed away. I just want to tell you a little bit about my expertise. I do have a master's in epidemiology and biostats from University of Illinois in public health. So I've been looking at numbers since I was in grad school, and my focus was on violence. Coming from Gary, at one point, Gary, Indiana had the highest murder rate per capita for the number of people in our little city. And so violence has always been a part of what I've had an interest in, which is also why I chose NYU Bellevue Hospital for my training, because of this level 1 trauma designation, and also why I chose Emory and Grady as my first job out, which was also a level 1 trauma center in Georgia. And also what brought me back to Gary was when my mother, who was a nurse, passed away, and I was at Gary for most of my career, which was overly saturated with violence and penetrating injuries in the form of gunshots and stab wounds. So I've been thinking about the solutions. And as you guys know, it's no real solution. We think about what can we do to curb violence even before 2020, and we were always on a downhill slope. There was not much attention brought to violence until 2020, which is when New England Journal of Medicine showed that violence and the number of youth dying under age 19 is not just Black and brown anymore. It's now all kids. So New England Journal of Medicine came out with an article stating that all kids under age 19 are dying, and the number of reasons why they're dying is guns. And so now everybody's interested. And now it's our opportunity to try to make a difference. And the public health approach is pretty simple. It's basically saying we all have to do our part on every level. We just can't wait for the government to come out with gun control laws, because you see, that's taking years to happen. We can't just wait on the state level for our cities to take those steps. It has to be us. And when I say us, it has to be Black communities coming together, like what you guys are doing on every month to discuss these issues, but also we have to take action. And we all have to partner, and different organizations have to come together. The teachers, the policemen, everybody who's involved with our youth has to do their part and take that public health approach, which means everybody coming together. So the last two times I presented, I did a lot of talking. So this time I do want to take an opportunity and just show you some things that we've been doing and show you what I'm talking about. And so with the help of Marsha, I do want to introduce this quick 1-minute video. And this video is just what I was saying in terms of getting everybody involved. And let me just put this out there. We all know that violence is omnipotent. Our youth are seeing it everywhere, and it's glamorized. And so that's our biggest competitor, right? The glamorization of violence. Our youth are seeing it on every aspect, from music that they listen to movies that they see. In China, they don't even have movies that have guns. That's why you see so many people doing martial arts. And so we see violence and guns being used everywhere. We hear it on our radios, we hear it on our videos, the video games that kids play. And so our kids are almost being programmed at a very young age to accept violence, the guns that they see all the time. And now it's an easy process for them to want to have a gun. They're glamorized by the allure of what they see on a daily basis. And so on this video is basically talking about, it's a program that I put together, which was basically to teach any and everyone how to stop the bleed. And so in this video, I got together not only Congresswoman Robin Kelly from the state of Illinois, but also the chairman of 100 Black Men, which I'm a part of, as well as a few actors from the shot. And so my idea was that how can I get the youth's attention? Because right now they don't listen. They don't listen to positive things that are being shown or said. They listen to a lot of negative things that they see on TikTok and all the social media aspect. So we have to find an innovative way of getting their attention. And once you get their attention, you can then deliver a message. And so why don't we go ahead and show that quick 1-minute video?
What's poppin'? It's your boy DJ Nathan's Power 92 in the building right now. This is very important information.
So what we're going to talk about today are a few quick tips that will help equip you all to be able to respond and potentially save a life.
And when we are in a position where we can make a change, we have to be able to do it.
Because this shows that you really, really care about what's going on and that you want to do something about it.
We want, all of America to do their part. And so we want every youth on there to go and watch this video.
All right, go to the website right now, poponviolence.org, or hit the IG, Pop On Youth Violence. All right, hit that IG, get all the information. It's DJ Nathan on Power 92. Let's go.
So we're going to pause this quick video, and you don't have to stop the camera. You can keep it on the video. I just want to make this comment. One of the things that I learned early on with my nonprofit organization called POP, which is Project Outreach and Prevention, I have to find an innovative way of getting youth attention. And so we employ the radio stations because we try to go to where they are. Because if you're delivering your message to asylum or to the youth who you know are all the kids who are not getting in trouble, then you're not being effective. And so we had to find a way to get their attention. And we use radio, we use the DJs, we use the actors, we use whatever credible messenger that we can use to get their attention. And so now I want to just show you a quick video. It's going to start out just showing you a 1-minute video of what we did last year during National Youth Violence Prevention Week. And during that week, we went to multiple different schools. And that's going to just be a quick 1 minute. And then it's going to go right into my little PowerPoint presentation discussing the statistics about violence, and also show a little bit of the health disparities that we see from being in Black communities. So let's go ahead and do that, Marshall. Thank you.
In 2020, firearms were the leading cause of death among children and teens in the United States. That according to a New England Journal of Medicine report published last month.
And it's trending upward. The research shows firearm-related injuries that year were up 29% from the previous year.
Successful in life: God, family, and education. Those 3 things, you'll be successful no matter what you do in life.
Greetings. My name is Dr. Michael McGee, and I'm an ER doctor. I'm also a full partner with Vitality Emergency Medicine in Gary and Maryville, Indiana. I wear a lot of hats. Not only am I the national chair for 100 Black Men of America's Violence Prevention Committee, but I'm also the national chair for American College of Emergency Physicians, DIHE Violence Prevention Committee. I am here now to show the effects of gun violence and show how much of a public health problem it is. We will attempt to de-glamorize violence and also teach many of you out there how to stop the bleed and do hands-only CPR. So please tune in and listen. I'd like to point you to a few facts about violence in America. The American fact sheet in 2020 showed that 95 people died per day in 2018 from gun violence, and in 2021 it increased to 124 people per day. Out of that, 13 were children under the age of 18. If you look at health disparities associated with gun violence, FBI homicide data looked at Black men dying, and they died 18 times more than white men, and usually 87% were male out of the victims, and they were killed by somebody who they knew. If you look at the motive behind why they died, only 11% died from gang-related issues. The rest, 51%, died from altercations or a fight. If you look at domestic violence, it's the #1 health issue facing Black women. Black women die a lot more from Black men than white women by white men, and they usually die by somebody who they know, and usually with the handgun. COVID led to a increase in violence, and these are all the reasons why. And there's a plethora, from poor education to hunger to over and under policing to isolation to loss of loved ones to lack of mental health care, and most importantly, access to guns. And at the same time, alcohol abuse and drug abuse went up as well. And so Johns Hopkins looked at gun violence in 2020 and came away with a whole bunch of good information. Number one, there were over 45,000 guns purchased in the United States in 2020. There was an increase in gun homicides by 35% from 2019 to 2020. And there was a disproportionate impact of gun violence for Black males ages 15 to 34. They were 20 times more likely to die. And also states with stronger gun laws have lower rates of gun violence, which makes sense. And last but not least, gun violence was a leading cause of death among children, teens, and young adults under the age of 25. And this is all kids, not just Black or brown. In fact, the New England Journal of Medicine came out in May 19 of 2022 that firearms are the leading cause of death for all U.S. children and teens in 2020. In fact, firearms deaths were higher than motor vehicle collisions, drug overdose, cancers, and any other childhood abnormalities. Firearm violence is worsening today. And these are protective factors as to what can prevent a child from being involved in violence or being shot. These are important factors that we need to have more of. We need to be able to de-glamorize violence and find a way. And so there are two committees, two organizations that are doing an outstanding job on violence prevention. One is the FACEP, American College of Emergency Physicians Firearm Violence and Injury Prevention Committee. And they address urban violence, and they work with a lot of different partners. I'm actually the chair for that. And then it's also 100 Black Men of America, and I'm the chair of this as well. And we're focusing on de-glamorizing violence and promoting unity, but also having seminars around violence and virtual presentations, as well as a national campaign for challenges like TikTok. And most importantly, to stop the bleed, which brings me to our presentation today. The Homeland Security has a national initiative to stop the bleed and for everyone to be taught how to stop the bleed. They want to encourage bystanders to become trained, equipped, and empowered. And this could be not just from trauma, but from injuries that can happen in your home. So we encourage every parent, child, brother, sister out there to learn how to stop the bleed. And I'm going to introduce you to a hero who's doing an outstanding job of that. His name is Abdullah Pratt. He is a colleague and a mentee. He's an emergency medicine doctor at University of Chicago. He's going to give a demonstration that I need all of you guys to learn how to stop the bleed. So Marsha, you can stop right here. If you guys look at this page right here, this video is something that we've sent out to multiple different youth, to schools, to different organizations, where you can look at all these things, hear those stats I just gave you, but most importantly, you can go on and using things you have in your house, such as what you see on here, where you can now teach yourself, your family, and everyone how to stop the bleed. And so it's very simple. And after the rest of this video basically just shows Dr. Pratt, as well as multiple different youth, including Congressman Robin Kelly, all teaching everyone how to stop the bleed. And then the last part of that video is basically us teaching any and everyone how to do hands-only CPR using just a pillow. So this video I can easily send out to your whole network so that you all can learn these things. So we'll go ahead and stop there, and then I'll give an introduction to the last video, and then we'll be ready to open up for some questions. So Marsha's gonna pause there. So the last video was kind of like you saw the brief introduction. I now want to give you a more detailed video showing what we did, during these 5 days of National Youth Violence Prevention Week, which is a large, important week for our youth. And so my organization basically started following the SAVE, which is Students Against Violence Everywhere. It's also the Sandy Hook Promise Club. So they have a calendar of events where they do different things for youth throughout the year. And so what I have been employing all these different organizations, do what you do, but then also stop and let's all celebrate these specific days on this calendar for our youth. Let's come together. So imagine doing National Youth Violence Prevention Week. If you not only have me and all my partners doing things in Chicago and Indiana, but you have every organization stopping for a minute, pausing from what they do, and now going on and doing these amazing things for our youth. Imagine how these youth would feel in terms of how people really care about them, and everybody's delivering the same message. Let's show some love, let's show some unity. Let's empower each other to care about each other and stop shooting each other like we're a video game. And so the video, as I set it up, Marsha's gonna go ahead and put it on the screen. What was so touching about this video is that the first video, we went to a school on the south side of Chicago, where you're gonna see on the floor a young man's name who was 9 years old when he got lured into an alley from some members of his father's rival gang, and they shot the young man. And he went to this school, and his name is etched in their gym room floor. It was pretty eerie because I had been cutting out articles about different things that have been happening in the city, and I used it in some of my presentations. And I had multiple clips of this young man.
And years later, I'm at his school teaching kids how to stop the bleed. And then the second school we went to was in North Lawndale. And that school this youth were extremely sad because 3 days prior to that, one of their popular juniors had gotten into a fight and somebody shot him in the head. And so at that point, he was in the ICU at my alma mater, which is Rush, trying to survive. And so let's go ahead with that clip.
She's love. Shoo-ah, shoo-ah, shoo-ah.
In 2020, firearms were the leading cause of death among children and teens in the United States. That according to a New England Journal of Medicine report published last month.
And it's trending upward. The research shows firearm-related injuries that year were up 29% from the previous year.
I know it's hard out here, but you gotta keep your head up. The storm will soon pass over. During the process, you gotta be strong. Yeah, look, you ain't gotta tell me. I know it's hard out here, but please don't forget that it's a God out here. I know they shooting and they killing and they rob out here. I know it's hard.
You guys deserve this. When you guys say yeah, say yeah. Put your hands together for yourself and your teachers. We're even gonna have the staff and the teachers dance today. This is National Violence Prevention Week. Let's take 10 seconds of silence and say a brief prayer for your classmate who just got injured and shot yesterday. So.
We want to thank Dr. McGee.
Gun violence. Gun violence has been there for years, and it's gotten worse since COVID.
What's up, y'all? I'm Fitrah.
What up? I'm Fitrah. How you doing? I'm Dominic Fitrah. I'm Fitrah, and we are Fitrah.
You ready? Come on.
She ain't meant to fall in love. She just wanna dance in club. Got every man showing love, but she'll never give it up. Like a 6'4" make that.
For the POP organization, if we could please give a nice, loud round of applause for Dr. McGee.
The #1 killer for all kids, not black, brown, or white, all kids under 19 is gun violence.
Now look at
person as far as law enforcement and apply that to everyone else. You don't want every law enforcement officer or every person that you encounter to look at you and think because you are black or brown that you're uneducated, that you're a criminal.
How y'all doing? I'm BJ with the drill, man. I'm from Power 92. We gonna turn this thing up to Power 92 real quick. So I wanna know who run the school.
Next, I want to acknowledge, thank, and congratulate Dr. McGee, the POP organization, as well as the folks from PATH as well. Congratulations on receiving the Violence Prevention Award, and thank you for all that you do.
I didn't really feel the bullet when it hit me. I kind of just woke up and I'm looking up at the sky. I was trying to get help and they came, they got like a little t-shirt and they put pressure on my neck. And that was one of the things that helped save my life.
Overall, grades 9 through 12.
Three things that made me successful in life: God, family, and education. Those three things, you'll be successful no matter what you do in life.
Thank you so much, Marsha. Just a few final comments. As you can see, again, I'm gonna always mention a public health approach. And so what we did was we took credible messengers, but we also took NOBLE, which is the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement. And we had a representative from their organization talk to the youth. And so they got to see Black law enforcement agents who cared about them. Because a lot of youth have a lot of fear of the police from all the things that they've been seeing. And so that's always first and foremost, to elevate the police, to let them know, hey, it's not all police that you guys should be afraid of, the same as we can't judge all youth for being violent. And so we also introduced a young man who was a mentee of mine who got shot in the neck when he was in high school. And someone held pressure and saved his life, which is why we wanted to express to them that you guys got to learn how to stop the bleed, because that procedure is saving a lot of lives across the country, because these injuries to your extremities, to major vessels, you can bleed out in a matter of minutes if someone don't hold pressure or call 911, which people tend to forget when they're in an emergency and under stressful conditions. And so the last thing that we also did was, and all this came from the principles that we follow, which is, again, National SAVE, Students Against Violence Everywhere. They have a website that shows youth how to go on to their website and be a leader at their school to prevent violence. Because at the end of the day, the youth are the ones who's going to be the change in violence. It's not going to be adults. It's not going to be us going out and talking to these youth once or twice a year. It's going to have to come from within. So we have to find a way to trick them innovatively to take on the responsibility of doing that. And so one of the principles from SAVE is incentivizing. You saw on that one slide I had basically gone in to Westside High School in Gary, Indiana. And this was after their spring break. The first day back from spring break last year, they had a brawl. They had 7 fights, and they had a brawl that was videotaped, and it went out to everybody in Northwest Indiana. Like, we were all shaking our heads like, man, this is ridiculous. A lot of graduates who had gone to school were embarrassed that this had happened. And by the way, this happens in a lot of schools. A lot of schools have these brawls that some schools don't tend to let people know that these things are happening, but it got out. And so I went in 2 days later. I said, look, I'm going to challenge you guys. I have an incentive for you. I'm going to basically challenge each grade, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th graders, to see who can decrease fighting, bullying incidents, any negative incidents for the next 3 weeks. And whichever class wins in terms of the decreased amount of fights or violent acts, you're going to win $1,000. We're going to give you T-shirts. We're going to have a pizza party and bring in a DJ, and we're going to recognize you. And as you saw from that little clip, there was a total of 68% reduction in all the classes who was trying to win that prize money. The class that won was the 11th graders, who prior to me coming in, they had 100% fights. And after I came in and presented that challenge, they had 0% fights in that time span. And so essentially these kids were policing each other. So they started the fight, they stopped the fights before it happened. And so it shows that they can do it. They just have to have the right incentives to do it and have to have the right mindset. And so I'll go ahead and conclude there. It's at 9:33, and I know I was supposed to entertain some questions, and I'll give more information as we go on. But thank you for your opportunity. I wanted to show you some real live projections of things that have been done and show you the work that we've been putting in and the fact that these kids can make a change in their life if given the right incentives and the right innovative knowledge to do these things.
Dr. McGee, first I want to say thank you, and the work that you're doing is so invaluable. But I want to just ask you to be very specific about some of the issues, the problems that you address with our youth. I don't want a long dissertation on it. I want some very specific issues. I encounter our children on the street. They're very disrespectful. So I want to know something very specific that your group, your organization, 100 Black Men, the Stop the Violence, address issues that you address with them specifically in these schools that that brings attention to their behavior.
Well, first off, the statistics to me is what drives change, right? You know, my background in epidemiology basically said these statistics, that's how you get grant money. You show the problem and the impact. And the impact that I just showed you, which is things like the #1 killer for young Black men aged 10, it used to be 24, now it's 34, for them dying is homicide. The #2 killer for Hispanic men, the same age, 1 to 34, is homicide. So that's a stat that a lot of these youth don't recognize that, hey, look, if you look at this from a standpoint and an introspection, you will see that you're killing yourselves. So it's essentially genocide, voluntary genocide that you're doing. And so the white man don't need to shoot you or kill you. They sit back and watch you do it to yourselves. So I think that's an impactful statement for them to be able to change behavior. But then also that second, that one slide that showed you what the FBI homicide data showed, that it's not gangs out here that's killing these youth. It's you getting into an altercation and being pissed off, having these triggers where you're sensitive. And now instead of just getting into a fight like you did back, 20, 30 years ago, now you pull out a gun and you do something that you can't undo because you have access to a gun. And so I think if we can teach our kids, a little bit of conflict resolution to start it before it happens, then you can make a difference. And don't think that those events that happen in schools don't escalate. When kids get into fights in schools and now family members and brothers and sisters get into it, and now it's on the street. The next thing you know, somebody's being shot. Or these kids that are being bullied get tired of being bullied. So now they go into the school with a gun that they just got from their mother who has a gun. And now you have, kids being shot in schools. So if we look at all this from the big picture and start educating our youth about these things, also, I didn't really get into this, but safe storage of guns is a huge initiative from NOBLE, National Organization of Black Law Enforcement, to talk to parents as well as youth about safe storage of guns. Because now these kids who are now, shooting other kids are also shooting themselves and accidentally shooting their little brother or sister. So those are things that we can easily do without having the government to be involved. So I'll stop there. You said short.
So you did bring out some specifics that you do deal with them in terms of them killing themselves, and other areas. So how much have you found that legalized marijuana is impacting our children?
So number one, there's not studies being done about that. I don't know if that's the drug that's making kids, violent. Alcohol has been known to make youth violent, or anyone violent. Crack cocaine in general. Sympathomimetics, have been known. A lot of marijuana is known to make them more relaxed, and a lot of them use marijuana for to get away from their anger and to calm down. Some use it for mental illness. So I haven't seen studies that show the correlation between marijuana and violence, but there may be one coming. But marijuana causes a lot of other issues. Kids falling asleep while driving or having accidents and being impaired.
Absolutely.
Those different things.
Yeah. Now I was just thinking about in terms of now that they've legalized it, and I see almost every young person I walk past in DC is smoking marijuana. And I was just wondering what, maybe you have learned something about the impact of that and saw any increase in behavior or decrease in behavior. You just said it makes them relax. I was just,
So what you specifically said about, is there a correlation between that and gun violence? I can't say that. However, behavior is a different thing. So part of the problem with our youth is we can't motivate them. We can't get them to go and strive to be a dentist or a doctor or a lawyer or do better. And so marijuana can definitely make you not have goals. It can relax you so much where, if you're doing it every day on a daily basis, you may not going to want to have the drive to go and get a good job, or you go to job and now you smell like marijuana. So you're negatively impacted by what you're doing. So if kids don't recognize, hey, you smoke marijuana in your car, and now you're going to a job interview. Well, that person's not going to hire you because you smell like marijuana, and they think that you're going to do it while you're at work and not going to be responsible and may not come to work on time. So yeah, there's definitely some negative impacts of using cannabis as a youth. Also, it can affect brain cells. And so we all know, different things that can happen from a medical standpoint with overuse of marijuana. Also, you get cannabinoid hyperemesis, where you use marijuana so much. And I see this in the ER a lot. These adults, kids, youth come in and they're vomiting, they're having abdominal pain because they've used so much marijuana that it triggered hyperemesis, where you're vomiting all the time and you can't stop it. And so that's a well-known phenomenon that we see a lot in the ERs as well. So
someone wants to know, why isn't a tourniquet listed as a part of the Stop the Bleed? Go ahead.
So number one, a tourniquet is listed.
Okay.
In what I showed you guys on that one little brief snapshot, these are things that you have at home. Most people don't have a tourniquet at home.
Right.
So we basically say get a cargo belt that you can now use as a tourniquet. We're basically, showing you what to do if you did not have a trauma kit. But yeah, all trauma kits, Stop the Bleed kits, come with tourniquets. And when we do our training, we show everybody using all the brand new equipment that we have and using appendages of arms and all that nice stuff. But at the end of the day, when you're in your home and you're trying to do this and teach people on a video, they're not going to have a tourniquet. So we use stuff that they can actually have access to use.
Another question is how do we counteract the influences on our youth from the community, heroes, and celebrities that glamorize violence?
Right. And that's what I was saying. That lies the problem that makes it so very difficult to even change their behavior and de-glamorize it, because it's glamorized by so many influencers, right? These influencers, they don't know how much they negatively impact our youth. Also, a lot of those influencers, the rappers, they never even were involved in that lifestyle. So if you look at it from a different perspective, who's paying them to do that? Usually it's somebody, these producers, these companies that are usually white. And now all these influencers who's making all this money don't even assimilate, they don't even associate that association that, hey, look, I'm being programmed by someone who's making all the money. And it's almost a form of slave trade in a minute, if you think about it, that you're making a little bit of change and you're negatively impacting your community with this violence, and you're not even really making the money. You're being influenced by these producers who want you to do this because it sells a record. And so we have to have someone, we have to have enough messaging out there from a lot of us who have contact with some of these influencers to let them see the light. Say, hey, if you're a well-known rapper or if you're a celebrity, hey, I need you to look at these statistics here. I need you to recognize that you can make a difference by changing your wording. You can change the way you present to our youth. You can be a better influencer in a more positive way. So a lot of these guys don't even know what they don't know. So let's start by educating them to say, look, man, I know you made $5 million last year, but the words you have in your raps or what you're saying on these videos are negative impacting our youth. And so that needs to take place. And so the more you have the public health approach where you have all these people, I heard there was a few congressional people on here, or maybe a few mayors. Maybe we can have sessions with these influencers and now show them what they don't know. Mm-hmm. Don't assume that they do know, because they're gonna basically strike out and respond negatively. But if you show them the light, maybe it can change their behavior. So now they could be more of a positive influence upon our youth, which we don't have a lot of.
So is there any so the organizations that you're involved in, how can the believers on this line in the various different cities get involved with a particular effort, partner, and work together in order to support a particular effort that you guys are putting together? Is there a way that, go ahead, Dr. McGee, answer that for me. Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is what I've thought about since I became the chair for the American College of Emergency Physicians. You have all these different organizations working in all these different silos, and no one comes together.
Right.
As I just said, if we can have a calendar of events that all these organizations are aware of, and the calendar of events is already out there. I just told you that, I use the calendar of events from nationalsave.org, that shows you in April, there's a National Youth Violence Prevention Week. The third week of October is National Safe Schools Week. So now why don't we all figure out what these specific dates are, and then we all come together and work. And so one of the things, and I'll finish up on this. One of the organizations that you didn't hear about that I'm involved in, we're doing just what you said. We're basically creating a clearinghouse of information that everybody who has an interest in can go to and know what's being done. And so that organization that I'm involved in now, is their national chair, is the National Medical Association. These are all the Black docs all over the country. They created a council on violence prevention, and I'm their chair. One of the first things that I said is, guys, we need to have a meeting of the minds of all the organizations who want to be involved to make a difference with our youth. And so we're trying to have meetings that we're going to be planning in the future. But before we get to that, we're creating a calendar of events for the year, so that now any organization who has an interest can now receive an email or receive this calendar of events. And now they'll know on third week in October, we want every organization across the country to have press conferences wherever they are, to have conferences, to have things going on at their schools where you're going to go and talk about safe school, safe storage of guns. And now you would know that that's a particular week that we want to do things. So now if you have the information in front of you, there's no reason why you can't be involved. And as we get and do more important things, we will now give you that information. And you can go to our sites and it'll all be listed so that you would know how you can be involved or become involved.
Oh, Dr. McGee, I think I can speak on behalf of this group that's here. We want to be involved. We're obligated to be involved. We're obligated to work with those of like minds in order to produce a better life for all of us. One of the things that Imam Muhammad said, may he be in the highest place in paradise, he said, don't look at Oprah's life, look at your life in your community to decide the quality of the life that you're living. Don't look at Oprah and Magic Johnson and all of those people who are living high, off of their wealth. Look at where you live. So, Dr. McGee, I'm saying to you that we want to know. We want to know those dates. We want to know when it's happening so that our leadership and those on this line can get involved, because we want to help stop the violence in our community. Because like you said, we are the one that's being impacted. This every day I go out, I'm afraid of because every day somebody is shooting somebody. I ride a bike. I don't know what kind of crossfire I might get involved in, although Allah is the best knower. But we do want to work with you. So please consider us to be a partner in any effort that you do that is for the better of humanity. Please consider us.
I will definitely do that. And I welcome that and appreciate it. And let me just say this. First off, that video that you guys will now have access, share with your network, let everybody learn how to stop the bleed. The second thing I encourage you guys, and this is what I tell all the different organizations who want to do something. I'm going to get you the information you asked for, but don't wait, right? And you guys are probably already doing this. One of the things you notice in that video is I didn't just go to the schools. I went into the juvenile detention centers. Because what happens is that child that made that mistake who ended up in the juvenile detention center, people tend to forget about. And that's the youth most at risk, because those are the ones who know how to get access to guns. All kids know how to get access to guns. But a lot of those kids, when I've interviewed them, which I did do, 6 of them, they all felt they needed a gun because in their block, everybody got a gun. And they needed to be able to get home and get safe and be safe. And a lot of them were getting their guns from their family members, their dads, their brothers, their sisters. And so I encourage all of you guys to, number one, have conversations with your own kids and the kids around you about gun safety and storage. Store your guns well. Make sure that kids don't get into your gun so that now your kid may have your gun and now commit suicide or shoot their brother or sister. So let's educate our own first, and then let's educate people around us. People that you guys know who may have guns, let's tell them, hey, lock your guns up. It's okay to be a gun owner. A lot of us are, but let's be clear about safety. The other thing is let's mentor somebody around you, and let's do it the right way, not in a predatory sort of way. Let's get our background check. Let's go and make sure we are certified by the eyes of the law to be a mentor. And because the worst thing you could do is be a mentor and now a child is abused. So let's mentor youth around us, not just a day, 2 days, 3 days, but for life. That's what 100 Black Men does. And that's something that we all can easily do right now. And all of that, again, is the public health approach. We all taking ownership for what's going on. And I know it's hard to try to interact with the kids and the youth because it's a different language. But once they see that you're interested, and now they can gain trust, they'll open up to you. And so now you can now start doing things from that level. And so those are a few things that we can be doing right now.
Well, we've been doing this all our life through the Nation of Islam. I don't think there was any program, any social reform program greater than under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I don't know of any. I'm 70 years old. I know of none. I see Dr. Ramadan smiling because he was in the forefront of this. So I don't want to imply that we need to be taught how to do this because we know how to do this. What I am implying is that we want to partner with organizations that are trying to do the same thing, because we all have different interests. But you have those on the line who have very specific interests and qualifications and would like to partner with your organization. So please keep us in mind. Do we have any? The challenge is that the youth don't consider themselves disrespectful. That's very true. And that is why I asked you, what were some of the specific discussions or topics that you address with these youth?
Well, first off, I 100% in terms of what you guys are doing. And that's the whole point. You guys are a model for other organizations. Yes. So as you partner with other organizations, show them how it's done, because there's plenty of organizations that don't know how to do it. And there are also plenty of individuals who may want to learn how to do what you guys are doing as well. You know,
but Dr. McGee, we also want to learn what you all are doing.
Yes, ma'am.
We want to come together, united against this force that is creating an environment where none of us are safe.
And so that's what we're doing. Again, I'll just put that out there. I'm creating a Meeting of the Minds coalition. Okay. We're going to have representatives from all these different organizations to join on a big Zoom meeting. And we want to be prepared to have the calendar to be able to take suggestions and put all that into a lump sum and then walk away with an idea of things that we want to do. And I'll give you an example. How do you change behavior? And that's what you're getting at with the youth. So what's their biggest interest right now? Social media.
Yes.
So again, in China, TikTok was created in China, all their social media shows kids making straight A's, doing well in school, they're all positive. But the ones that we show are all negative. We've had kids having challenges in terms of who can hold their breath the longest, which you can have brain injury from doing those things. So if we can have something as simple as a TikTok challenge, which we created, where we can now influence the youth to do positive things, we would love to partner with all these Meeting of the Minds organizations to have all their youth to now go and be in this challenge. So once the kids see that the challenge is something that they can get a lot out of, is positive, then it can be shown and spread around the country. And I'll give you the last example is this. We had a TikTok challenge for June 19th. It was called Stop the Bleed Challenge, where kids will basically show them a quick video, teach them how to stop the bleeding, and they can create whatever they want. We had about maybe 30 students to enter. And it didn't go anywhere because we weren't able to market it in the way we want. So now we're going to come back later this year because, number one, school was out and it was hard to reach kids. So now we're going to come back again and kind of like do the same challenge. And now we want all the organizations to get all their youth to now go and do these little things together, where now you're going to now promote unity. You're going to promote something positive, and then they all going to learn how to stop the bleed. And so, and then the next thing we'll do is we'll do a CPR challenge where we'll teach kids on video how to do hands-on CPR. And now the kids can now show, and the biggest thing, you start out with something small like that, where you're showing some positive things on social media, which can now change their behavior to a certain extent, because now you're going to where they are. And that's what we're not doing. We need to go to where they are. We need to, if they don't respond favorably the first day, let's go back again. Let's now take somebody who they may know, that you may know, who can now introduce you. So now you can get into their space and now they'll be more inclined to want to listen to you. Because you're right, it's hard to get them to want to interact with us. And so we have to find an innovative way of doing it. And again, I want to implore you guys to go to nationalsave.org, which is that website that also gives you information that I can't always give. And I get a lot of my information from there, like the incentive contest that I started at that school.
So I want you to know that you can send me the video and I will make sure that it's in the newsletter next Saturday, inshallah. I want you to also know that I'm a little disappointed in none of the videos do I see me. And when I say me, I mean Muslims. And that is a little disturbing to me because we, just like we say that, our children are inundated with gun violence, movies and songs and everything. They also inundated with a lot of dance and music. And so there needs to be a more serious aspect or image in some of those videos, because like, I don't dance like that. You know what I mean? But I do have, when I say me, I mean people like me, not me individually. So I would like to see more of us get involved. So that is why I'm asking you to make sure that you, first of all, everyone is asking for you to put your contact information in the chat box, but to make sure that we have no excuse for not partnering with those organizations out there that are doing good work, but we don't see ourselves there. I want to see some of our men there. Like I see you in your doctors, I know who you are. I know that you represent the medical community. I want to, we need to have representation across the board. And so I'm going to emphasize that.
So Sister Muhammad, I say this respectfully, you're making a vast assumption there because Dr. Abdullah Pratt, if you say his name in Chicago, all the Muslim community know him. He's Muslim, and he's the one who I highlighted on that video. And there are several other students on there who you may not have known who are also Muslim as well.
And that's why I said image, because I don't know Dr. Pratt, but right. An image is a picture is worth 1,000 words. And so the fact that I don't know Dr. Pratt allowed me to make that assumption. And so I'm just saying to you, we want to help. And there are many in our community that have been doing this work and would love to partner with your organization and the 100 Black men. And so I'm just saying to you,
yes, here,
and it's our responsibility which we're thankful to Dr. Ramadan for inviting you to be a part of Study Al-Islam so that we could learn this information about what the organization is doing. And you guys are doing great work, and we want to join forces.
Yes, ma'am. Definitely.
Join forces. So please put your information in the chat box so that people can reach out to you in the various different cities and find out what is happening in their city. And it is Father's Day. So tell me what specifically is the 100 Black men doing on a national level that we can get involved in, that the men can get involved in.
So keep in mind, 100 Black Men of America is a major men organization that's they're based out of Atlanta, but they're in almost 109 cities. So they all have different events that goes on in their cities.
Oh, okay.
So you can simply just locate whatever city you're in and find out. They have a website for every city. 100 Black Men, Chicago is a website. So 100 Black Men, New Jersey. So if you go to their website, they'll have all those things listed about things that they're doing and activities that you can get involved in as well.
So this organization that you're trying to pull together would include all of these organizations in terms of becoming like a think tank, and that anyone in the Islamic organization, specifically the Muslim African American community, can get involved.
Yes. So what we're doing is, again, we're going to have a few leaders who are representatives to know what we're doing, and they can report back so that the question you just asked, like, what can I do in my city? And it'll be pretty easily known what you can do. And like I said, everybody has their own platform of things. Yeah. If we all have like 9 or 10 things per year that we do all the time, then everyone will know that, hey, I can join on this day, June 2nd, which is Gun Violence Awareness Day. We can wear orange, and then everybody across the country can be doing the same thing. So that's what we're trying to work out.
Excellent. I would really like to know who those leaders in the Muslim community that you're working with, because I would like to tap into their information in order that our national community can have this information. Because everybody, and there's various cities that are involved. What other questions do we have? What is the contact information for Sisters United for Allah? Okay, that's not you because you're Marsha, do you see any other questions that we have for Dr. McGee? Like Michael Jackson said, we have to look at the man and the woman in the mirror. Okay, Sister Latifa. Dr. McGee, yes, they are making big money from using their music. They have shares in the prison system. Well, we know that, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes, so many of us are on the same accord. We just need to link up, join hands, and work on this situation. So you can see from the chat box that people are interested. Dr. Ramadan, since you invited Dr. McGee on, and we're very grateful to you and the contact. Dr. McGee, I'm gonna hold you to letting me know who these leaders are in our national community that you're working with. I'm going to hold you to sending me that video so we can get it out to the community. And I'm going to hold you to that calendar of events, national, where we can get that those calendar of events. Dr. We're going to close out. It's 11:02. Please forgive me, everyone. I'm way past my time. But Dr. Ramadan, I'm going to give you the last word and ask you to close us out in prayer.
Yes, I am so grateful and thankful to have such an energetic son-in-law, and he is he's a powerhouse, and you know, I just happy to hang on, and he certainly is a leader in this field, and we just thank Allah and ask him to continue to bless him and to keep this thrust going.
I mean,
I just want to say Happy Father's Day to everyone.
Yes.
And we'd like to close out with a short dua. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Al-Asr. Inna al-insana lafi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa amanu solihat. Wa tawasaw bil haqq wa tawasaw bis sabr. Ameen.
I mean, Dr. McGee, we really appreciate you, and we look forward to receiving that information from you. So until next week, your sister and friend, Fitrah Muhammad. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.